And so for this assignment, we had to read the last chapter in our book that discussed Vygotsky, and we also had to watch a video that talked about Bronfenbrenner. The key part of Bronfenbrenner's theory actually was that the person is a part of the overall experience, and as you look at the environment that surrounds that individual, you have to recognize that they're a part of it. Excuse me. And as the further you get away from a person, the more complex the interactions are in the system. So starting with the microsystem, this is where you have regular interactions with people. So your friends, your family, your school peers, people like that. And then the macro system is not as direct, but it still affects how you view things, so basically society. The mesosystem is when you have two microsystems interacting. So basically, like, if you're juggling, like, personal and work life. And then the exosystem is two microsystems interacting, but only one of them is yours. So, for example, making plans for dinner, and your schedule is completely free, but the person that you were going to have dinner with, their schedule isn't free. And then the chromosystems is basically your life course. It's what has happened to you that affected you while growing up. So like the invention of cell phones, obviously not for me, but for other generations. And then as we get into Vygotsky, we get to really look at his theories and his experiences and how they've affected his life course, starting with he taught literature in secondary school, and this experience intensified his interest in teaching and how people learn. He was really interested in cognitive and language development and just their relationships to learning, which led to his interest in psychology and its impact on educational theory. In this, he searched for answers to the questions raised by his interest in children and their approach to learning new things, which involved his discovery that in a group of children at the same developmental level, some children were able to learn with a little help, while others were not. This learning is just a cornerstone for the theories that he developed later. Something I didn't know actually was that he died at a very young age due to tuberculosis. He was only 38, and it's crazy how even at the time his impact and his theories were very overlooked because of how popular Piaget was at the time. And I can't even imagine how much more we could have learned from him if he had lived longer, and how much more he had to teach us. And although he brought a fresh perspective to child study, his ideas at the time were very controversial, and people still believe that to this day, simply because he came into the field without specific training in psychology or development. The world the world children inhabit is shaped by their families, communities, social economic status, education, and culture. Their understanding of this world comes in part from the values and beliefs of the adults and other children in their lives. That's something we need to remember, that everything affects a child. Children learn from everything that they encounter. And like Piaget, Vygotsky believed that much learning takes place when children play. He believed that language and development build on each other. And again, like Piaget and Montessori, Vygotsky placed enormous emphasis on the importance of observation. You have to carefully watch and listen, and this is how teachers come to know the child's development and how they accurately access what is in within a child's ZPD, which is really essential to developing a curriculum. And then finally, something that you notice in a lot of schools, not too much I think now, I think it's definitely kind of changing in some areas, but conversation is discouraged. It's looked at as disruptive and not like it's not. Children should be exploring topics that they're learning and sometimes they need time to comprehend it and look at it in different ways and learn from their peers and ask questions. And obviously there's a fine line between taking time to comprehend it and just being disruptive, but that's something that you can find a balance between in your classroom. And that's something that I really want to, that I would love to let my children know, that like in my classroom, you're allowed to talk. Don't be afraid to speak up or ask a neighbor about something. I'm not gonna yell at them the second I hear a whisper. Like, I want them to know that it's okay to do that, so. That's everything I have. Thanks.